So today I will talk about working with Odin, Wotan, or Odin, or Odin, or Wotan, the supreme god of the North, and I will tell you my experience with him. In my opinion, the best way to work with Wotan is to invoke him. He is not the type of a god who will do things for you. He will rather inspire you to do things and to take risks. His favorite day is Wednesday, and this is the best day for invoking him. He seems to be really primal and really atavistic in nature. I honestly don't know what kind of sorcery he teaches, because every time I call him, he doesn't give me a lot of information. He rather gives really concrete instructions where I should go and what I should do. But usually it wasn't and it isn't for sorcerer's instructions. Those are really practical instructions which usually have to deal with my ordinary life. Now, I honestly don't know what kind of sorcery he teaches. I study a lot with him, but it seems to be some kind of divine inspiration. So instead of giving a concrete step-by-step spell, he will rather inspire you, give you a key visions, and those visions will contain the gateways into the spell you are obligated to cast. When I see him, I always see him with two ravens, and then those ravens enter my head and they literally become part of my brain technically. So what he is trying to say is that Wotan's ravens are essentially the parts of your soul, the parts of your mind. They are also external beings, but they are internal, if this makes sense. Now, what I also noticed while working with Wotan is return of artistic inspiration. And this is a form of really primal inspiration and motivation, which I cannot define by other means except madness, creative madness, not form of madness which will push you to butcher your mother. I am talking about form of artistic ecstasy. But this is kind of primal and difficult to control type of ecstasy. I also noticed that I am motivated to do what only I can describe as irrational wandering. So, coming to from place to place and pushing yourself to wander and experience new situations without knowing why I am doing so. But during every travel and every experience, I learn something new I didn't expect to learn. And it always shocks me, to say the least. And the last thing I noticed while I work with Wotan is that he is the only spirit who presented himself to me as a father figure, and he presented himself in a way that is acceptable for me. And maybe I will accept his offer of him being my spiritual father. But I observe spiritual fatherhood as a metaphor for alchemical transformation of the soul. I don't observe it literally. but I need to work with Wotan more, to gain his trust more, and to study him more before I take his offer. I need to wander in his ways more. He led me to wander, and I will, but wandering, I need to wander more in order to decide, am I willing to become the wanderer, if this makes sense. Because once you truly accept Wotan or Odin, he never leaves. He becomes you and you become him. You become Odin. And not in a sense that you become incarnation of a deity. You are still you. A mortal cannot become incarnation of a deity. But you, if it makes sense, once you accept Wotan, the piece of your soul which corresponds to Wotan awakens once for all. And if you truly experience once this maddening inspiration, it will never leave you. You will never be able to become a peaceful person again. You will wander the high seas until you drop dead. So, and what he's trying to teach and to tell is that the only way to avoid death is to accept it as a companion. Once you accept the death as a companion, you become immortal. I don't have a time to philosophically discuss what this means, but I will try to sublimate it shortly. Once you accept the death as your companion, and once you lose the fear of it, you will become able to achieve godlike things. And I think this is a key to Valhalla. This is the secret which hides behind the Valhalla myth. Only if you are able to go to battle every day and to die every day, you will rise for the next battle, next day. But if you don't fight, if you don't struggle, if you accept the zone of comfort, you will rot like the dead of Helheim. You will become stale and then truly die. And then you will never be capable of achieving the great deeds, because your fear ruled over you. And the greatest way to go out of your comfort zone is to experience something close to death. Either battle, either extreme sports, extreme rituals. You need to confront death. You need to accept it as your companion. And I think this is what Wotan is trying to teach me. We need to praise and accept the concept of mortality. And what is interesting here is that Wotan and Morana, the two deities I work with, one is Slavic, one is Germanic. They both are giving me the same message, but they focus on different things. While Morana focuses on inducing the near-death experience, Wotan focuses on glorifying the mortality and glorifying the concept of death and rebirth. Instead of seeing death and mortality as something we should be afraid of, we should see it as a gateway to glorious becoming, to glorious expansion, if this makes sense. Instead of being afraid of death, we should think about how to live and die in a glorious way. And this is what he's trying to teach me, this is what he's trying to tell. and this is why he is giving me all of those ridiculous tasks and sending me to wander and test myself. And once you truly follow Wotan, the veils of impossible become lifted, and then you realize that impossible isn't impossible at all. Yeah, and I want to thank Wotan at the end of this video, and see you today and tomorrow.